All right, here we are, another morning. We're getting ready to go for a run, one day more. Well, actually, this is going to be, I think, the fourth day because I'm on my third attempt. But that's okay because we're going to get it. We're going to get this done, no matter how many attempts it takes. At the end of the day, it's not about how many times you try. It's about whether you get it done or not. And I'm running a little bit later than I would have wanted to run. It's actually the sun's already out, like really out. And I don't necessarily like running in the sun, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna get it done, and here we go. What's going on, man? So, all right, I'm back, and I'm happy to announce that I hit 3 miles this morning. So, feeling really good. It was a little bit hot. It was definitely warm. I got out there a little bit too late, so the sun was already out. It was already beating, but you know what? We didn't let that get in the way. We got the 3 miles in, and we're getting one day closer. I feel like that sounds silly me saying it because I'm on my third attempt, and I think this is day 3 or day 4. I'll need to verify that. You'll have to see that on the header of the video. But the funny thing is that, usually I have these quote-unquote ideas that I like to share with you. But, this morning, I kind of really found myself, I guess this is what the runners call a zone, where you're just literally focused on your form. I was so obsessed with the positioning of my feet and like my stride and where my gaze was at, like making sure I wasn't looking down, that I was keeping my head upright, looking at the horizon, out in the distance about, 40, 50 feet out. And I found myself kind of tunneling into that thought of just being in sync with my breathing, paying attention to, am I doing a 4-count breathing, a 3-count breathing, a 2-count breathing? Do I feel like I'm running uphill for this portion of my run? Am I going with a little bit of an angle downhill on this portion of my run? Whatever it was, I was just so focused and tunneled into my run this morning. And for whatever it's worth, it just felt really good to be able to run with a clear mind. Something else that I find interesting is, a lot of times David Goggin talks about how when you're working out, a lot of people, they listen to motivational music and they try to kind of like get themselves pumped up with music that motivates them, that gets their energy up, and and so he talks about, there's something to be said about grinding in silence, because it's only there where you can have a full on focused internal dialogue with yourself and really dig into like he calls it the dark thoughts, the dark moments, the darkness, the pain, the suffering, the struggle that you're going through when you're working out or when you're trying to achieve something that is challenging, when you're trying to achieve growth, right? And what I found really interesting today is that for the first half of my run, I was listening to Goggin. He was talking about something else, but the funny thing was that halfway through my run, the first half I was so focused on my run, but then the audio clip came to an end, and I was so focused on my run that I didn't want to reach into sometimes that happens to me, and I reach into my pocket and I take out my phone and I click either replay or I click the next clip or whatever while I'm running, and then I put my phone back in my pocket and I continue running. I don't stop to do it, but it throws off my focus, right? All of a sudden I'm looking at my phone, so I'm not for a few strides. I'm not running at full speed or whatever it may be, and I didn't want to do that today. So what I found myself doing is just kind of letting the phone stop. And so for the second half of my run, for about 1.5 miles, I ran in silence. And I could hear my footsteps. And it was like a whole different feeling when you can hear your own footsteps. And so then, I could hear myself. I had a certain sense of awareness about where my thoughts were. It wasn't just me having this internal dialogue or having thoughts triggered by things that I was listening to, to Goggin on his recording, but rather having an internal, focused, aware conversation about what I was focusing on. It was kind of it was a very neat experience, to say the least, because I was mindfully thinking that, wow, I'm really focusing on my stride and how my foot is feeling and how I'm landing, and am I landing on the balls of my feet, or am I landing on my heels, and am I leaning forward enough? Am I like, I was aware of every little detail that I was focused on. So it's gonna sound really stupid, but it was almost like I was focused about my focus, right? And as I got to the end of my run, and I started to walk a little bit to cool down, I had this thought: what if the clutter that we listen to all the time, a lot of times when I'm working, I play background music. I play like, trance music and just kind of work, or I'll listen to my headphones and I listen to meditation music, or I sometimes even listen to classical music, and I feel like it helps me kind of dial myself into whatever it is that I'm doing. But what if that actually, I know my parents are going to roll it, my mom right now is going to turn on her grave, right? Because for years, when I was in school, she used to always tell me, look, I know you say that you concentrate better when you're listening to music, but there's a certain amount of distraction that happens when you're listening to music. Now, granted, back then I wasn't listening to meditation music when I was doing my homework. I was listening to pop music or whatever, rap or rock. Well, I wasn't really big into rap when I was younger. I mean, I listened to some of it, but not really a whole lot. But mostly I listened to like grunge rock and things and pop music. And so it kind of made me think that there's something to be said about the amount of focus that you get when you literally tune everything out and you just go into that dark, empty space of your mind. There's definitely some value to that. I found that today was very enlightening for me, and it was kind of exciting. So a lot of these messages, I say it all the time, a lot of these messages are for you, but they're also for my kid, and the hope is that one day she'll listen to these, and when she's older, she'll keep coming back to them, and she'll be able to learn from some of these ideas that come to my mind. And so, baby, this is for you. I have always told you that classical music stimulates your ability to learn. There's been studies that have been done on that, and it's out there. I mean, you can Google this. They said that if you listen to Bach, for example, you retain information. Your mind's, it triggers certain frequencies in your mind, and it allows you to process through information more efficiently. But I invite you to explore that a little bit, and maybe do some of your homework or some of your work, if you're older now, in complete silence. Just do it in complete silence, and then kind of go back and forth. Explore with classical music, and explore with silence, and then go back and forth, and see if you find value in actually working in silence. I know for me, this is interesting. I'm 51. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to make it a point to explore working in silence. We'll see if I get anything out of it. But anyway, I just want to share those thoughts with you. 365 days, third attempt, but we're still going after it. And I want to wish you a really good afternoon or morning or wherever you're at. Have a wonderful day. Get out there and make today amazing. Take care.